All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. Happy Veterans Day 2021. Welcome. Welcome to Agile DevOps DFW. My name is Ravi Verma. I am one of the co-founders of Agile DevOps DFW. It's probably been 7 or 8 years. I don't know how long it's been. All I know is it's the year in which the Texas Rangers lost to San Francisco Giants, which shows my lack of emotional intelligence that I'm in Dallas, and that's how I'm endearing myself to my audience, a bunch of Rangers fans. So I'm really happy today. I've got two of my favorite people here, Ceceille Palmer, Tim Dickey. Both are graduates from the Agile for Patriots program. And what better way to celebrate Veterans Day than to celebrate and appreciate a veteran, Tim, and a military spouse, Ceceille. So before we dive in, I want to share a story. When I was a child, I visited my uncle and aunt who were veterans. My uncle was a veteran in India, and I rarely got to see him because he was always deployed on the front or, with his team. So my aunt was there, and we met, one day we met a child who was going to the railway station with a soldier and with a military, a member of the military. And I asked, who is this child? Where is he going? And what she told me kind of broke my heart. I was probably 10 years old or maybe younger. So she told me that his dad has been posted to the front and he misses his dad so much. Every day, lunch and dinner, he puts a plate out at the table for his dad because he's hoping his dad is going to have a meal with him. And every day he goes to the station because he thinks his dad is going to come back home. And that is the life of a military veteran and a military spouse. That is service, that is sacrifice. And I knew there and then, even though I was like 10 years old, that I don't have the intestinal fortitude in me, the courage, the spirit of service and sacrifice to do that. And we on Veterans Day, we talk about thanking our veterans. We talk about thanking our military spouses and their children, but it can be a very abstract feeling. Like, what is it that we are thanking them for? And this was one example that brings it home. When someone in our military leaves home to protect our nation, to keep all our families free and safe, it's the whole unit, and the unit is the spouse that's left behind, the kids, and the battle is on multiple fronts. And civilians like me may never appreciate what it means. And this is just one glimpse. There are probably a million other micro incidents that happen in the life of a military family that we will never know. So the reason I shared this story was, if there are civilians who are watching this live or the recording, just check in on your veterans, military families, check in on how they are doing, and give them your heartfelt appreciation. Even if we can't do anything to make life easy for them, I think maybe all that I don't think they do it they sacrifice to get our appreciation, but once in a while, it might feel good to be understood. So that's the reason I shared my story. And with that, maybe I want to share one more thing. And so one thing that I realized was military families know service and sacrifice, not as a theoretical concept, but they live it. And as I look back at my journey in Agile coaching, I've interviewed hundreds of Scrum Masters, interviewed and trained and coached thousands. And one thing that separated those Agile coaches and Scrum Masters who were truly effective from the others was the spirit of service and sacrifice. And the realization that you will probably never be loved or appreciated by the very people you are trying to serve. And in a way, that's what military families do. They love and serve and sacrifice for civilians. And they understand, you know what, these civilians, they may never truly understand or appreciate what we have done, but that's cool. That's okay. I have a calling. I got to answer that calling because it's the right thing to do no matter what. So I have found military veterans, military family members, spouses to be the best Scrum Masters. I have personally trained so many of them. I hire them for my companies, my clients, and I recommend them to my, to my friends. So that's one thing, service and sacrifice. That's what a Scrum Master is all about. So my suggestion to civilians who are looking for true Scrum Masters is consider a military veteran or a military spouse. That's point number one. The second thing is a Scrum Master needs to face danger on a daily basis. And that's more psychological danger. Oh my God, I know what's the right thing to do, but if I say it, what if I get fired? What if I lose my job, right? But the one thing about military veterans or spouses is they have faced dangers which are far greater than what you may face in the delivery of software. And they don't cower in the face of adversity. They're like, yeah, bring it on. You know what, compared to what I faced in my life, piece of cake. So they don't get scared. They pick their battles. Now, just because they did not pick a battle, it doesn't mean that they are scared of the battle. They are making a calculated decision. What's best for me to do to serve my team, to be a servant leader? And that's another distinguishing characteristic of military veterans and spouses, right? The courage, that's a Scrum value, right? So service, sacrifice, courage, and just brilliant problem solving, because if there's one thing that military veterans and military families do on a day-to-day basis is so many challenges are thrown at them in real time that need quick decision making. And that's the life of a Scrum Master, right? To be able to evaluate in real time what's going on. It's like three-dimensional chess, process chess, product chess, technical craftsmanship chess, right? And to make the right decisions. So in my mind, I was trying to reverse engineer, figure out what the heck is this magic that these military veterans and spouses have? Why are they succeeding where other civilian Scrum Masters and coaches are failing? And I was trying to figure, oh, that's what Cecile does. Oh, this is what Tim does. So I just wanted to share this with others. If you are listening, consider a US military veteran or a spouse for your Agile coaching Scrum Master roles. You're not going to regret it. And with that, I want to pass the ball over to Cecile and Tim. Cecile and Tim, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you're hoping to leave our listeners and viewers with. And please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. Oh, thank you so much for the opening and the stories. I really love your stories. Ravi is my coach. And we've had interesting times, I must say, interesting times. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the session. But good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Thank you so much for giving us your time on Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans and their families. I personally want to say thank you and happy Veterans Day to my husband, Alfonso Malcolm. He is very introverted and quiet. He doesn't like this part, but I'm going to do it anyway. So thank you, hubby. Thank you, Alfonso Malcolm, for putting up with me and for being patient with me when I don't understand, because the spouse don't see the front lines, but we are on the back end. So I want to thank my husband for that. So my journey to Agile is interesting, and I'm gonna just hold a minute before I talk about how I detoured into Agile. My background is business. I did my 2 degrees. One is marketing, and one was just business administration. I did some business coaching. Most of my life was spent in that area, marketing, just corporate. I knew nothing about software development, and I knew just a spoonful about Agile when I got into the program. Just, something that I read, no formal training, nothing. But I realized that the world was shifting, and around about 2013, 14, I started reading a little bit, just a tiny little bit. And the Agile for Patriots program, and I'm going to talk quite a bit about that today. That program just really it cracked me open with Agile and what it was all about and how I used it and the training and being a Scrum Master. And it's like love at first sight. We've just been, lovers ever since. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm going to leave it there. We'll talk more about me as I go along. I'm going to throw it over to Tim, who will tell us a little bit about himself.
Thank you, Cecile, and thank you, Ravi. So, of course, to all of my fellow veterans, thank you for your service. For those who are currently on active duty or taking over the watch, I really appreciate it because it allows me to sleep better at night. And of course, my lovely spouse was basically in Cecile's role, holding down the home front while I was deployed. So I felt the burden being out on the front lines, and she felt the burden being at home. And so, this is a very special day for families in general, who, oftentimes service members come in single, but they end up leaving the service married. And so, you know, it becomes a lifestyle, whether you're active component or reserve component, and it is a choice. And so, I am grateful to have served. It was my pleasure, and I am grateful for those who continue to serve as well. So, for me, it's an interesting journey because when I left active duty, one of the things that I got interested in while I was, riding around on nuclear submarines for a number of years was this whole technology piece. And so it became kind of the cornerstone and the bedrock of my career. I haven't strayed too far from IT in all the years since, I joined up. And this agile thing, and I'm going to be completely transparent, which is actually one of the things that as a Scrum Master, this is kind of core to how we work. I thought in the early 2000s when I heard about agile and when I heard about Scrum and XP and all these different ways of developing products that seem so much easier and better than the traditional waterfall way, I was like, oh, it's a buzzword, it's a fad. It's going to pass. Rational unified programming, that's the thing. That's the future. Yeah, you know what? This is the first time I'm going to say it publicly. I was wrong. So, this is one of those where I'm asking for forgiveness, Ravi. Clearly, I made a mistake early on in assuming that this thing was going to pass.
Yeah, and that was my reaction. When I was introduced to Scrum, I like, this is some BS. I used to use Microsoft Project Plan, 300-line Gantt chart. And I was like, yeah, this is BS. The boss says, let's do the bare minimum to check the box. This too shall pass. So that was my reaction.
Yep. So, hey, Cecile, one of the things I think we set up on this, and this is to kind of alleviate some of the burden on Ravi, is we're going to have a conversation today. Is that where you're coming from? I think that's where I'm coming from.
And that's exactly where I'm coming from and going. So Tim and audience, I really want to just shift our minds a little bit. No presentation today. There are no PowerPoints. We did say it's the human side of agility. So we're going to have more conversations. There is nothing to, no PowerPoints to read, no presentations. We're just going to shift gear and focus on the people side of agility. We want to talk more about our stories and how our stories can help somebody else, another veteran or a spouse of a veteran who wants to shift into this space, who it from afar it looks like it's scary. It's how do I even get there? The trainings, all of that, the cost, especially if you are transitioning and you haven't nailed down a job yet, that you think about how you spend. So we really want to talk about, just some of the ways, some of the hurdles that you can jump over to get into this space. And we welcome, as Ravi mentioned before, we welcome you in this space because the one thing I have seen, and especially from a veteran's perspective, you come with some special skills. You come with your leadership skills. You come with, just your critical thinking, how you motivate people, your ability to succeed in some very unstable environment. So those skills, we use them every day working with people building software for companies. And it's not just about software, but most of us are in that space. But it's not just about software. You can be a Scrum Master in banking. You can be a Scrum Master in HR. You can be a Scrum Master in marketing. Just about any industry right now is opening up to the idea and exploring using Agile approach to doing work. So we shift just a little bit from talking about, the sprint planning and the product owners and all the things that goes into the work and the technology as well, to just talking about, the program that got us here, the things that we do every day. We welcome you to ask us questions, and I know Ravi will help us to watch the chat. And if there's a question, he will just, stop us in our tracks. And Ravi, we welcome you to do that. So ideally, I'm just throwing that caveat in. It's a different kind of meetup today. It's that side where we talk about us, the people side.
Yeah.
And Tim,
Yeah.
do you want to talk? Yes, go ahead, Ravi.
Yeah, and I would like to add to Ceceille. So I'm monitoring the Q&A panel and the chat panel. So those who are with us, whether you are a veteran or a military spouse, or whether you are a civilian who is curious, I would like you to bring curiosity to this space. So if you're a veteran or a spouse, and if you're curious, I wonder, could this agile space be for me? Can I build a fulfilling career that honors me and my values? Bring that curiosity. How might I learn more that will help me make an informed choice about, do I want to proceed or not? So bring that curiosity if you're a military veteran or a spouse. If you're a civilian, my request is bring curiosity, two kinds of curiosity. Well, if you want to give back and say thanks to the veterans and spouses, military spouses in your life, be curious about, what can I take away from this conversation so I help the military veterans and the spouses in my life make informed choices about, could this be aligned with their life calling? Or you can have, that could be your purpose motive, but you can have a profit motive. You can say, and it's completely cool to be, to have a business perspective and to be curious. Well, I've got some business problems that need to be solved. I wonder, could the superpowers of a military veteran or a military spouse, could those superpowers help me solve the problems that are keeping me up at night? I don't know, but since I've got a bunch of people here, let me see if I can ask them, and then you can make whatever decision seems okay with you. So use this as an opportunity to gather information so you can make informed choices, whether you're a veteran, a spouse, or a civilian. So that's my ask. So Tim, what else, what would you like to share at this point?
Yeah, that's really the intent of why we're having a conversation today, because I think that there is a bit of misconception around the space, especially from somebody who's on the outside looking in, and we do want to dispel some of these myths, and I love the fact that Cecile, kind of pointed this out, which is that Agile as a concept has started to become a buzzword within areas of business that had not traditionally even been interested, let alone wanting to have that conversation, because it started in IT. It's software, and as an IT pro, I know how I am. I'm kind of like, yeah, this is my space. Business, you do what you do, and we'll do what we do, and we'll have a conversation occasionally from time to time, and throw you something, and if it doesn't work, then we'll fix it. So this is a radically and fundamentally different way of building products and services, and it is an option in a space for military veterans and mil spouses to step into, regardless of whether they have a traditional background in software development, in product development. They can come in from anywhere.
Yeah. And there's a great question from Tim. Tim is saying, do you see the military embracing Agile since it appears to be the epitome of command and control? I want to share a couple of my thoughts, and then I want to invite Cecile and Tim to the conversation. So here's the first thing. The first book I read on Scrum, I think, was this black book. I think it was written by Mike Beadle and Ken Schwaber. And my recollection, it's been a while, my recollection is, I think Mike Beadle was either Air Force or Special Forces, I don't remember. But my recollection of the analogies that he gave was, when you have, and Tim and Cecile, pardon me if I'm butchering military terminology, let's say you have a squad. The analogy that he gave was, in the military, you have a cross-functional team. And the cross-functional team is given a mission, and that mission could be product vision, product goals, sprint goal. There are many analogies. And now the cross-functional team is given a context or some guardrails or a container in which it is okay for them to exercise their cross-functionality and self-management. So you've got to honor the laws of the country, international laws, there are some laws of warfare, ethics, and so on. So yes, we want you to achieve the mission. However, you have to stay true to certain principles and values and laws. So there is a container inside of which, right, you have to exercise your cross-functionality and self-management. And also my recollection of this book is that Mike Beadle said was, look, when there's a mission, maybe there's a lot of planning, there's a prep work, yes, there is a command center, but then the team is deployed. And when the team is deployed, no plan survives contact with reality. Shit is happening. But the team is not calling headquarters, command and control, and saying, hey, this is what just happened. This chopper broke down. I have enemies coming here. What do I do? There's no time, you'll die. So I think the analogy he gave was, as there is emergence of information, there's transparency, inspection, and adaptation. So inside of the moment where there is instability, as Cecile was saying, that cross-functional team is processing information, comparing the target reality with current reality, and doing course correction. And it's happening micro reviews, micro planning, micro retrospective, right? It's happening moment by moment, and it is literally life and death. So in my mind, that is my interpretation. And I realized this. So my first cohort of Agile for Patriots, I trained them intro to Agile. There were 40 people in Collin County Community College. And as I was talking to them, they started saying, oh yeah, this is like an after action report. Oh yeah, this is like this. So they started building bridges between Agile terminology and Scrum terminology and their life. And then I had an epiphany. Holy shit. I mean, there are so many parallels. I did not realize that. So anyway, I feel that the truth is more complex than black or white. So what I have discovered is a sweeping generalization to say that the army is 100% command and control, or the army is 100% agile. It may not fully reflect the truth, and it may not apply to any company as well. I've been in large companies. So that the truth is more nuanced than 100% black or white generalization. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I will defer to Tim and Cecile. If you could, Tim, maybe you can get us started since you've been there. And then Cecile, you can share from your experience as well. So Tim, what is your perspective?
Yeah, I think you're dead on, Ravi, because it is a hybrid. It is really a mixture. And having deployed to Afghanistan twice and being boots on the ground supporting special operations in the second deployment as an intel analyst, it was moment by moment. No matter what we did as far as getting the brief ready and then all the planning that went into the brief, something was going to go sideways. It was never perfectly executed. And then we took that feedback and we refined the next set of plans and briefs for whatever the next mission was, so that the teams got better. And trust me, team rotation also influenced the effectiveness of the team. And so initially a team would get in, they'd be a little rusty because they hadn't been on the ground, for a number of months. They get up to speed, and by the time that they were probably into their second month, they were back in their cadence, and oh, by the way, this is exactly what happens when we form new teams in the business world. We have that rough patch that going through the Tuckman model of storming, norming, what is it? Transforming. Anyway, the Tuckman model, you can Google it. So yes, there is that command authority that's out there. And L. David Marquet talks about leaders' intent, talks about commanders' intent. It's like you said, Ravi, it's the guardrails, it's the framework. This is what I would like to see accomplished. Now you guys figure out how the best way to do it. And I've seen it in the military and I've seen it in the private sector. And the corollary is absolutely undeniable. So Cecile, your thoughts, because as a mil spouse, you're looking at it from a different angle.
And Tim, you're right. I couldn't get into as much as you did, but just as both of you said, it's, to me, it's like you've been doing it. You just didn't call it the same things. So you've been doing it. You've been, as Ravi said, you get the mission. The team is there. There are things happening. There are things happening on the ground that you have to respond to, and there's no time to call headquarters or wherever to get the answer. So you make the decisions, and when you're done, you look at the outcome. You do some retrospectives, and that's what we call it in Scrum. But whatever you called it then, or in the military now, you look at yourself, you inspect, everything that happened, yourself, the tools, all of that, and make some decisions about the next mission. So to me, it feels like you've been doing it. And Tim, thank you for that question. It really opens my eyes. It opened my eyes to say, but come to think of it, they've been doing it. Because I heard recently that Agile has gone mainstream, and this was the literal quote that I saw. Agile has gone mainstream. The military Department of Defense is using Agile. And it made me wonder, how are they doing that? I had that same question in my mind. How are they doing that with the regimented way that the military operates? But the question was answered just through us talking through. So thank you for that. That's my take on that. And I really want to move into the intent of why we're here today, or what we want to see come out of this session. And I'm hoping that the audience will feel it in their spirit, based on just anything that we've said as it relates to military families, because they need help. They most times come back and feel like they are out of place. They don't know which direction to go, and some of them are suffering. Some of them are really suffering. So the intent is for you to, if you're a civilian, you recognize, how can I help one, or how can I say this to someone? There is a program that can help you. So I transitioned right into the Agile for Patriots program and how I detoured into this. So we're here in Dallas, and my husband mentioned this program. He said he did just the intro to Agile. He did that, and he never went on. He went into other direction. Or maybe he was interested in the intro to Agile, but I don't think he actually did it. But anyway, he told me about the program, and I said, okay, I'm going to check it out. And I did. Keep in mind, my background is marketing. My background is all business, no software. So the minute I saw software and technology, I froze. I said, okay, this is not for me, but let me at least take a look. So I did. So I'm also encouraging persons out there, military spouses, veterans, please. It looks scary, but it's not as scary. I have figured it out. All right. So I think just about anyone can. And Tim is laughing because he knows the minute I hear tech, I go, ah. So I got into the program, the Intro to Agile program, and the first day we had a presenter, Red. Oh, he was absolutely phenomenal. Red is just the best presenter, and he softens everything so we could understand. So I sat in the program and I thought, I wonder if I could do this. And all I'm thinking is, I'm trying to find a job in marketing. I'm trying to find a job somewhere in business, somewhere in that space. And here I am getting this thing, and I'm thinking about transitioning, and my thoughts were never there. So I had no plans of going there. It's like this whole thing just came and just, turn over this wonderfully stacked apple cart I had before. So I sat through the first day, and then they said, okay, after this, we have what came after that? It was a 2-day course, correct? Right, Ravi? It was 2 days after that? 2 days, yes. So
Yeah,
after that,
PSF, yeah, 2 days, Scrum.org PSF.
PSF, that's it. That's the one I couldn't remember. Yes. So we had the PSF course. So we went. They decided that whatever the date was, we were going to come back and do this 2-day course. I'm not working, so I said okay. And veterans, it is free to you. Spouses, it is free to you. And I'm from the islands. When I hear free, I am front and center. Okay. So I'm just gonna be transparent. Yes, if I don't have to pay right now. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I'm thinking, there you can get things free. But when you're not working, you penny pinch. You think about how you're gonna spend that dollar. So when they said it was free, I said, okay, all right, this is not so bad. So I did that, and I did the PSF. And when I got in the first day and we got into just doing things, and I realized, okay, as a scrum master or as a product owner, I don't necessarily have to, well, more scrum master, I have to have the tech background. I just need to be able to do, keep certain values, understand the ceremonies, make sure I fully understand the framework of Scrum, things like that. And so it's not as scary. And the more I got into it, the more I realized that it's not so bad after all. So I came back the second day. By the second day, I loved it. I mean, I really, really loved it. And my group, interestingly, my group started out with just over 20 persons. We had about 20 persons. And for PSF, I think we maybe whittled down to 15 or 16 persons. But then we moved into what we call the practicum. And I'm kind of just butchering the stages that through just in the interest of time. We got down to what we call the practicum, and this is where now we get our hands dirty. We did the work. We had to do something. We had to build software. So we were not necessarily coding, but it was low code or no code. So we worked on the website. So our hands are on the Agile for Patriots website. And for those who want to take a look, just Google Agile for Patriots, and all the cohorts had to contribute to that website. And it felt so great doing that. But the learnings is what really got to me, because Coach Ravi, there's so many names I've heard. I've heard sensei, I've heard coach, mentor. I mean, some names I've heard all kinds of names for Ravi. But Ravi is just there with us all the time. He feels like the parent, the brother, the sister, the coach, the everything. But he is there just constantly helping us, and not just helping us with the work of the program, but also with our minds. What's holding you back, what's things like that. Because as soon as he looked at me, he knew something was holding me back. you know and I think for most of it, it was the tech background. I was feeling anxious, and there were other things that were making me anxious too, but that was one of the things that was just saying to me, Cecile, are you sure you can do this? But the program is built around a group of people that just supports, they mentor, they coach, they help, they call you and give you tickets to games. They pull the community together. Yes, they did. They invited us to all kinds of stuff. They made sure that you knew where all the meetups were, like this one. And that's how I learned. And so in the middle of the night, and I got to tell you, my drive was long. This was happening in Plano on Legacy Drive, and I lived in Lancaster. So I live in Lancaster, and every morning I would fight that traffic. 1 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes, I would fight the traffic, but it was so worth it. I never thought traffic. Every morning I knew, okay, traffic was bad yesterday. I'm always like just in the nick of time. So let me try to leave 15 minutes earlier or 20 minutes earlier. It just didn't bother me because I was excited. And I don't know, maybe that's just my true nature. But for me, if you want something in your life, you're going to have to put some elbow grease in it. Not because somebody else might be paying for it for you, but they're sacrificing because you sacrificed or as a spouse, and they're, where the community is supporting. But at the same time, when you think about yourself and where you want to be in life, this is, absolutely phenomenal. Tim, I'm going to pull you in now. And if you want to talk about your experience with the Agile for Patriots program, and then we can take it from there.
Yeah, certainly, Cecile, and thank you for sharing that. And, similar experience in that, I was a bit skeptical about this, and I cleared the air on that immediately here at the very beginning. So, having a background in hard IT, and by hard IT meaning the actual hardware and data centers, and operating and maintaining operating systems, you know my experience with software development up until that point had been on a project team deploying a point of sale system that Carnival Cruise Line had custom built. And so I saw a lot of what was going on, but I was more inclined to the systems integration side of the business. And that was perfectly all right with me, except for when it came time to make a choice and a decision, because I'd been a manager, and of course I'd been a senior enlisted leader in the Navy, and I realized that, what, this is not for me, and so during a period of underemployment, one of the things that a veteran service organization here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area offered was the Agile for Patriots program. And I went, okay, let me check this out and see what this is all about. And so I'm not going to labor the point that Cecile clearly laid out, but I will say that during our 2-week practicum and the cohort that we had forward momentum, so we actually followed Cecilia's cohort. We came together, and even so much so that we were exchanging text messages this morning, figuring out when we're going to get together for lunch here in the next couple of weeks. And so, we created a community within the broader community. And, the point that Cecile makes about the Agile community as a whole is that, it really is welcoming, and it takes all kinds of personalities and people and backgrounds, and it's vibrant, and it's really alive, and it's innovative. And for me, that was one of the big things. Is I finally found a place where I felt I belonged, and I'd been looking for this for quite a while professionally, and I knew I didn't want to be a manager anymore, but being an individual contributor and being in that position of being a scrum master, helping a team, guiding a team, coaching a team, pouring into the team from my experience and asking challenging questions, it was the right fit. Now, mind you, I also had the opportunity during the cohort to be the product owner. So I had a different hat on. So now when I work with a product owner, I really empathize with some of the challenges and struggles that they're trying to balance to get the business value that they're ultimately seeking, and to prioritize the work in such a way that it does deliver incremental value over time, building from a series of small experiments into a set of larger experiences, and hopefully a full slice of functionality within a given system. And for me, coming from the hardware space, I went, oh, I know how to build systems. Oh, all I'm going to do is translate this from physical systems to logical systems. Oh, this is not that difficult. And these increments, think of them like Legos, and I got a ton of them actually now that our daughters are teenagers, a ton of them sitting around in boxes. And I occasionally play with the Legos because it reminds me that this is really what we're seeking to build in the software and product space. It's so simple. And I think this is the biggest challenge. Those of us who are really well educated and have a lot of experience doing things in a rigid set policy, process, and procedure driven way, we come into it with I dare say a set of baggage that we have to go, you know what, I'm going to set the baggage down, and I need to learn a new way of thinking and a new way of working. And I need to open myself up to the fact that I'm a novice once again, but I've got a community of people around me who are going to help me crawl, walk, and then ultimately run in a new profession. And it's been insightful, eye-opening, and it has certainly been one of the best investments in myself and investments in others that I've had outside of the uniform. And I really got to thank both Ravi as well as Janie and the entire Agile for Patriots board and community, because it was needed, it was necessary, and it was on time.
Yeah, I want to add a couple of things. I want to unpack some important things here. First, I want to show you the pages that Cecile's team created. Now, remember, zero coding background, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to share my screen, and let me know if you can see it. Give me 1 second. So this is Cecile's cohort. Got Pam, Cecile, and Kim. And they created this page, zero coding background. And then, Cecile, please correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, your cohort helped us create this page.
You're correct.
Yes. And this is Tim's page, Tim's cohort. And Tim's team was the first team that started shooting videos. So they've got an amazing video there. Every team brought unique strengths. Every team brings unique superpowers. And when they get together with a shared goal, just like your agile team has superpowers, that's the beauty of human diversity and ingenuity. All you got to do is create a shared goal and give them a container that lets them shine, and you will be so amazed at what people can come up with. And I never cease to be amazed at the ingenuity I see in every single cohort. So if there's anyone who is concerned about, I'm not technical enough, I would say that's your superpower. And the reason I say this is, I'm an agile coach. I've been doing this for 12 years. A lot of times people will ask me the question, Ravi, should a Scrum Master be technical? And my answer is hell no. And the reason is, this is something to do with parenting. I have a 8-year-old. My wife is struggling with her behind. You will hear sound effects pretty soon. And the reason I bring this up is that sometimes when we are having a conversation with my 8-year-old, if we are not careful, she will drag us down to her level. And, I'm like 40, almost 47 years old. When I go down to the 8-year-old level, it's 2 8-year-olds fighting. It doesn't end well. I've got to stay at my 46, 47-year-old level. There's a parallel between developers or product owners and Scrum Masters. If a Scrum Master is not careful, developers will try to drag the Scrum Master down to coding details. Well, show me how to code this. Show me how to write automation tests. It can't be done. And no matter how hard you try to learn the latest cutting edge technology, you will never be a developer because that is not your calling. So if that is the standard you set for yourself, that I need to know enough code to be able to go down and have a technical discussion with my developers, you are setting yourself up to fail. So I actually prefer Scrum Masters who don't know anything, because then in all sincerity, they can say, I don't know, but I know you're awesome and you can figure it out. How can I support you? And then elevate the conversation in terms of what is aligned with our product vision, what might be aligned with our product goal, what might be aligned with serving our customers, our users, our investors, our employees, our community. And I don't know the answer, but I do know some really freaking powerful questions. And I believe in your ingenuity to come up with the best answer. And you know what? Chances are we're going to be wrong. And that's okay, because that's the beauty of Scrum. Guess what? We'll do a short control experiment. In the retrospective, we're going to learn, we'll be wiser, and we'll keep doing it. So Scrum liberates you from the pressure of being right, because all you got to do is to be learning. So I would recommend that. I don't want technical Scrum Masters. And in fact, if technology breaks you out in hives, excellent. What a great Scrum Master. Because then when the developers try to drag you down, I don't know. My expertise is in unleashing human potential. That's my job. Your expertise is in unleashing software craftsmanship. And we make an awesome team. How can I help? All right. So those are my thoughts about if anyone is experiencing anxiety or concern. I'm not technical, this calls me. And I want to talk about a second thing. So Cecile used to drive 1 hour from Lancaster. I've had two kinds of people in the program, and neither one of it is good or bad. I had one person who used to work for about 12 hours at night at Target, remodeling the store. And that person would come and attend my classes, full day class, very intense. If you have attended a Scrum.org class, you know you can't just sit and doze off. And if you do, I will call on you. It will not be pleasant. So this person would come to my class and his eyes would be red. And he's chugging coffee after coffee. And then he's actually standing up in class. He's fighting because he's worked 12 hours and he's going to go work 12 hours again. But he had this burning fire. This is the way for me. Cecile had a fire, something spoke to her. Tim may have had a fire, something, this is resonating. And so my wish for anybody who is watching this is be watching for that fire, that irresistible force. And you may get it in Agile and you may not, but my wish for you is that you live a life where you are willing to drive 1 hour from Lancaster, or you're willing to go after 12 hours working at Target without sleep, because that's the calling. That's how powerful it is. So that's my wish for you. And I've had other people who are like, they're sleeping in class and they don't show up. And my wish for you is, if that's what's going on, whatever field it might be, don't waste your life. Life is short, right? So come to the session. Either you will hear, you will probably experience a strong force, either pulling you in the Agile industry or pulling you away. Or if it's blah, I would say if it's blah, don't waste your life on something that feels blah. And of course, if it repels you, get the heck out of there as soon as you can. But only invest your life, your precious moments, irreplaceable time in things which set your soul on fire. And the most successful graduates are those whose soul was set on fire by Agile. All right, so I want to unpack that. So with that, I'm going to toss it back to Cecile and Tim. We probably may have time for just one more conversation, maybe 9 more minutes. So what is the next topic you want to explore? And I'm also monitoring Q&A if anybody wants to share anything.
So Ravi, you kind of hit it on the head when you said, make sure that you're feeling that fire and make a decision. You know, if you're being pulled somewhere else, then, you know, go. We wish you well. But if you stay, this community will support you and they will help you. We are all here. Be bold. Do what feels inspiring. Do what makes you come alive. And for those who are listening, or might watch this online, if you are in an organization that may have not considered employing veterans, consider looking to the Agile for Patriots program for persons. If you're looking for Scrum Masters, product owners, developers sometimes, because we get a good mix. But I would encourage you to take a second look at the veterans. And if your organization, like I said, if you're not employing, I think it's time for you to, just take a look. Tim, anything you want to add here?
I think it's very, very important to understand that veterans, mill spouses, what we bring to the table is a set of soft skills that is truly intangible. It's about the fact that we've figured out, at least in part, a way to balance personality dynamics, a way to balance the life of life. Because at the end of the day, whether you're deployed forward or whether you're on the home front, you're still living. Up until the point when the creator determines, hey, you're no longer, this is the end of your run. We are here for a very specific reason, and it's to fulfill a purpose. And this is an avenue for people who are looking for that purpose, and businesses. I have found that in working for 2 very large companies and, a cruise line as well, one of the things that seems to be missing is passionate people who are really driven and they want to see not only the best from their company, they want to see the best from their teammates, and certainly they want to deliver the best experience to their clients and customers. And veterans, I dare say that we have it in spades and probably double that for mill spouses, because they've got a lot more responsibility most of the time. And Agile for Patriots is an avenue to be able to fulfill that. I read headlines about how a ton of people who have been very dissatisfied in their work for the last couple of years. They're either exiting the workforce altogether or they're making choices to change. Now is a perfect opportunity to step into something and experience it through a really no risk program to test the waters and say, hey, does this fit? Ravi's dead right. There, you got to have a fire in you. And I like the analogy of the magnet. You know, you're going to either be repelled or you're going to be drawn in. And in either case, if you're sitting on the fence, clearly it is not the place for you. But all that to say this, what do you have to lose? Really? You know, a little bit of time on a weekend initially, maybe a few more, days here and there. Ultimately, the time commitment is not all that great. And especially if you are in that transition space and you're trying to figure out, like I have on a number of occasions, what you want to be when you grow up, this is a great opportunity. And I think I can speak for both Cecile and I. It's really changed the way that we live and the way that we work.
Very good. Tim, thank you. Janie, if you are on, would you be comfortable just summarizing some key dates for our upcoming cohort 8, if anyone is interested in applying?
Sure. So we're going to open up registration on January 3rd. So if you go to our website right now, the registration is still closed, but there's a place on the website in the menu, just contact us and get on our mailing list. And when the registration opens up, we'll send you an email. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, and we'll be posting out there as well. And then April 13th and 14th is actually the start of the next cohort. That's the Intro to Agile class. And then we have the Applying Professional Scrum course on the 27th and through the 27th through the 29th of April. And then the practicum is May 16th through 27th on the weekdays. And this is all virtual now. I know Ceceille and Tim, when they went through, it was in person, but we are doing the next cohort virtually. So you can actually be located, you can be outside of the Dallas area and still participate. So we'd love to have you guys get on the mailing list. And ultimately, if anyone's interested in participating in that program, or if you know a veteran or military spouse that you think would be interested, please let them know about the program.
Very good. Thank you, Jenny. So yeah, agileforpatriots.org. Follow our company page on LinkedIn, because we will be posting notifications there as well. And as we start wrapping up, I'll give Tim and Cecile the last word, but I want to share something. There's one quote from Michelangelo that really inspires me. I think somebody gave Michelangelo a compliment on some sculpture. I don't know if it was David or God knows what. And he says, "I saw the angel in the marble and I chipped until I set it free." Here's my promise to you for Agile for Patriots. I see the angel in every applicant, and those who have gone through the program, you will know that if I have been in your practicum, if I have been your trainer, I've taken a very keen interest in you and getting to know you. And I see that angel inside of every one of our graduates. And I chip until it said it's free, and it's not always pleasant. Some of you have been on the receiving end of my coaching conversations. But my job is not to entertain you or make you feel good about yourself. My job is to unleash your awesomeness so that you live the beautiful life you were born to live. And sometimes it's painful. But so that's my promise to every single graduate. And, when my graduates are suffering, I suffer. I'm sending them text messages in the morning, at night, I'm checking in. I'm noticing patterns in their behavior. Hey, wait a minute, Tim hasn't posted on LinkedIn in a while. What's going on? Hey, I haven't heard from Cecile in a while. What's going on, right? So we are, and Janie is the same, Red is the same, the entire Agile for Patriots board. We are a tribe, and we keep checking in on our graduates. And also we challenge our graduates if we feel that they are not playing big enough. So giving you a sense for what our program is. And, if you are being called so powerfully, when I pick up the phone and call you, or Janie picks up the phone and calls you, one of our board member calls you and challenges you, you will take it positively. But if you're blah, or if it doesn't resonate, those coaching conversations will not go down well, right? So make sure that you have this irresistible force that's calling you to live a bigger life, and you feel that Agile is an avenue for that. And if that's the case, try this program out. All right. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Ceceille and Tim for closing thoughts, and then we are going to wrap up. So Ceceille, why don't you go first?
Thank you, Ravi. And you're right. We have been on the receiving end of some of your wonderful coaching. Oh my goodness, it was magnificent. And that's all I'm going to say. And I'm sticking to my story. So my closing remarks would be, listen, jump in head first, jump in with just a toe, but take a shot and jump in. I promise you, as we've said before, if you don't like it, it's okay. We wish you well. We're still friends, or it will change your life. It certainly changed mine, and I will tell you. Ravi said to me when I joined, I think it was the 2-day class, the first class where we were really, in contact. He said, we want to get you to a point where you're going to get recruiters calling you, at least one recruiter calling you every day. It happened. And I mean, when he said it, I thought, please, nobody does that. That's what I'm saying in the back of my head. But it happened to me. People are calling and they still call. I'm comfortable where I am right now, and I'm choosing to stay where I am right now, but they still call and they're always saying, listen, I checked in with you, last year, and I'm just checking in because we're recruiting again. They're still calling. The other thing I want to encourage again is we do mock interviews. The program does mock interviews. So if your company is interested in supporting, this is another way that we can support. You can support the community or Agile for Patriots by helping us to do mock interviews. Maybe you don't have a job, but you can interview some persons for us and help them to sharpen their skills and their resumes and things like that. And I think I'm going to turn it over to Tim. What are your closing remarks, Tim? Thank you so much for listening.
So, thanks, Cecile. I want to go back a week, and Ravi and I had this conversation on a coaching call, and I was so thankful that he acknowledged this, because it was really a stream of consciousness moment. One of the things that I realized about Scrum and about the umbrella of agility is that it gives really creative, talented, smart people an opportunity to build products and service to delight clients and customers. And if that connects with you, that resonates with you, this is really where you're supposed to be. So take the time, think about it, discuss it, and if you commit. And I want to thank Cecile and certainly Ravi for allowing us to talk about this, because you can tell this is really where our heart is.
Very good. Thank you
Absolutely.
both.
And Ravi didn't know, by the way, that's the direction we were going to go, because he thought we were going to focus on our journey and all of that. But we thought the journey of Agile for Patriots was so interesting that we wanted to highlight it. Over to you, Ravi.
Thank you. Yeah, and in closing thoughts, the board of directors, Agile for Patriots, here is our vision for all our graduates, that when you're having a kitchen table conversation with your partner at night, here's what we want you to have. We want you to tell, we want our graduates to tell their spouse, honey, we got a problem. I got yet another awesome job offer. What are we going to do, honey? We've got these 5 amazing companies that are dying to hire me. Can you help me figure it out? Which one do I choose? And how do I make sure that, I make the other companies who I'm going to say no to feel honored and respected? That's the problem we want you to have for as long as you are in the industry. We want you to have kitchen table conversation with your partner to say, oh crap, yet another job offer. What are we going to do, right? So that's our vision. And that's who we are. That's what we stand for. To all the veterans, military spouses, military family members, thank you for all your sacrifices. And to everybody else, thank you. Keep calm and scrum on. And see you at our next meetup. Okay, be well. Bye-bye.